Welcome back to the channel, Wandering Shepherd family. Um, today we're going to be installing. Sorry, today we're going to be installing these spotlights, fog lamps, whatever you want to call it, headlamps, to the actual pontoon boat. I used to have some of these on the pontoon boat before, but when I restored the pontoon boat, I threw them away. Got myself a couple more, I should say. Um, and I'm going to need them because it's December 30th, and tomorrow I plan on going to the actual lakes in Winter Haven to watch the fireworks show from Legoland with my wife. So I'm gonna need these so I can find my way back to the channels. So, anyways, I'm gonna be running marine grade wire. I'm gonna be running it to the actual panel, and I'll see if I can also do a video to also install the actual grill. So who knows? Maybe you'll get two videos out of this, depending how much the weather will cooperate. Obviously, the first thing I'm gonna have to worry about is trying to find exactly where I'm actually gonna position this thing. So let me move the camera around just a hair here. Here we go. And obviously, I want to have some level of symmetry. So I'm trying to make sure that I can actually go on ahead and look underneath and make sure that wherever I choose is not going to be obstructed by anything that's below, especially with the actual frame itself. So looking at that, I'm thinking right around here should be good. What I'll do is I'll install this one. I'll drill the hole, kind of position it before I mess with the wiring. And then what I'll do is on the other side, I'll try to find the exact same spot by measuring it out and actually, again, having that symmetry that I was referring to. But these things are pretty powerful, man. Last time I had them, people used to tell me they were super, super bright. Anyways, kind of excited. Okay, so what I've done so far, I went on ahead and actually installed this thing. I just ran the bolt straight through, drilled the hole. It has its own nut washer, the whole 9 yards, locking nuts. And then I drilled a small, just the right size hole, actually a little bit smaller, and I just kind of grew it out a little bit, but just kept on drilling. So this way I can have the wires going through it, but keeping it nice and snug, which I will then also put a little bit of silicone in here just to make sure that that creates a nice seal. I don't want the wood underneath to actually get damage from the water going through it. I have the wires, as you can see, coming out right here. I've already stripped them a little bit. And I have my electrical wire, that's marine wire here, which is what's going to be running all the way through to the actual plate, not the plate, but the actual switches in the actual helm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to butt these up. I'm also going to use a little bit of solder just to make sure I have a nice clean connection. It's not going to come loose. And then I'm going to wrap these, or I'm going to have these also wrapped in shrink wrap. So this way water does not get in. Now, I would also utilize some of the actual, I have liquid electrical tape. But unfortunately, the can that I had, I must have left it cracked open because it ended up drying up on me, so I don't have any more. And since I have to get this thing done for tomorrow, I don't have time to actually go on ahead and actually order a new can. So the shrink wrap will have to do. However, I do have the shrink wrap. And I'm going to end up doing a double jacket on that. So I'm going to end up putting a jacket just to cover those two holes. And then I'm going to put one on top of it, which is going to be covering this part also. That way it's double layered with the actual shrink wrap. And that should give me a nice, clean, and watertight connection. So at this point, I have completed at least one side of this thing. So I'm going to show you guys right now exactly what this side looks like so far. Mind you, I still have to run and actually channel this all the way to the actual panels, to the actual switches. But at least for the time being, you can see what pretty much what this is looking like. I will tell you, I am by no means an electrician. In fact, I actually happen to be very good friends with an electrician, and he'll probably laugh at this. But so far, I do things like this, and it seems to work. Like I said, the only difference is I didn't have a chance to use the liquid electrical tape. This is a pontoon boat. It spends a lot of time in the water, especially in salt water, because I do take it to salt water as well quite a bit here in Florida. So anyways, the wires, let me show you. This right here should be strong enough or sealed well enough to actually protect against the elements. But I may in the future, if I have some spare time, go back and actually redo this and actually put the actual liquid electrical tape in there as well. But for the time being, this works. It'll definitely work for tomorrow's sake. I still have, of course, the other side to do and to actually set up and obviously run all this thing. Now, what I'm going to do for the actual wiring, because obviously I have two lights, I'm actually going to end up butting them up together into, you know, like if it was a wire, like a splitter. And from there, that is going to end up running to the actual helm unit back there and to the actual switches. So yeah, I'll show you guys once I'm done what it pretty much looks like. But for right now, I'm optimistic. It's looking pretty good. So at this point, what I've done is I've gone on ahead and ran the wires up through the bottom of the boat. And I went on ahead and I put in the connectors, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but I also soldered them so this way they're nice and secure. Now, I did one with electrical tape and I did one with an actual heat shrink, just so you can see the difference. I mean, if you have a heat shrink, that's always going to be the best way to go. But if you don't have one, if you don't have them, and all you have is electrical tape, I mean, that will work too. The trick is to try to create some kind of a barrier to prevent moisture from getting in here. Now, what I did was I tried to make sure that the actual solder covered the entirety of the actual entry point here. So this way I'm trying to minimize, once again, moisture, basically. And but yeah, I mean, that's what it is. If you're wondering why I put a heat shrink here, this is just this way I can label, my own way of labeling and knowing which wire is which, since as you can tell I have more than one of these big thick wires coming through. And this is just so I know what is what. But yeah, I'm going to connect it now to the actual plate, and I'm going to test it out, make sure that it's all working. I know it's daytime, it's going to be, I mean, you can't really see them completely, but the lights are on, which means that everything has been done correctly, everything's been wired, and everything is running underneath. All I gotta have to do is just secure the cables underneath, just to make sure that everything is going accordingly. But yeah, so far so good. Now to install the grill. I was thinking about two different places to actually install the actual grill itself. One is right here on top of the actual fuel tank. No, it's not a fire hazard. And I was actually going to carpet this thing and then obviously mount this on there. However, I don't like the fact that it's just the height is just too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to end up mounting it right here on the actual back corner. It's kind of a wasted corner of the boat anyways. It used to be that I used to have a fishing seat right here and I could fish out the back of the boat, but I don't do it that much anymore. I don't use it. I even took it off when I did the refab. It just wasn't a corner that I found myself sitting at. So I'm going to put it right here. Once I put the grill on top, the height happens to be just right, that it's comfortable, that I can actually grill. And at the same time, it's not so high that I will have too much of a cross breeze coming from the back into the actual grill. So if anything, I could always put up a windshield later on. So I'm gonna drill the holes, get this thing mounted, get it all positioned just right. And here what we have is we have the actual finished install. I place it so this way it'll lock once it's actually facing forward. So this way, if I'm moving around or whatever, it can always be locked into place while it's facing directly forward. But when I'm going to use it, I unlock the actual hinge here at the bottom. That right there, you push it. It releases the actual pin that's holding it there. And then I can actually pivot it. Kind of like it like that. This one, when I'm actually moving around in the water, it can be locked facing forward. And when I'm going to use it, I can actually just pivot it around however I see fit. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be installing carpeting on the actual plywood. I went on ahead and I cut this one up already, a piece, and I'm about to apply the adhesive, let it get tacky, then apply the carpet on top of it, and then tuck everything else, and then staple it from the bottom. You apply the actual adhesive here. The carpet would then, this is the top side, but the carpet would then be placed on that, and then I would wrap it around, and then I would staple it on the bottom and then trim off the excess. That way, the entire thing is covered when it gets mounted right back above the fuel tank. Afterwards, I'll do this one too, but this one I may do at a different time frame just because, like I said, I'm running out of time. And this is going to take more cuts just because I have the oil fill and the navigation light there. After tucking it in, using staples, and then bolting it down to the actual box there below it, here's the finished product. Not too bad. And it kind of matches with the actual blue, or actually does match with the blue. Next step now is to give this thing a very, very thorough cleaning. It's been sitting underneath oak trees for the past month, and man, I love trees and I hate trees. What can I tell you? But yeah, until next time, Wandering Shepherd family, take care, God bless, Happy New Year.